Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.
Good evening, CenlaGOAT. I'm your host tonight, Jack. Lotto always talking about sports. He's taking a break tonight, but we're going to have a dual show tonight of Let's Talk and the CenlaGOAT. Tonight we have the man who led Ash to that legendary undefeated regular season in 2024, Coach Thomas Bachman. Coach, you have built an elite Class 5A powerhouse in a community with real challenges. And now you have 3 former players getting ready to enter the NFL draft all at one time. I just want to say, Coach, that's kind of I don't know if it's a build up to that program that you have going on over at Ash, or if it's an anomaly, but you in a class with the elite prep schools and that kind of thing. Coach, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I appreciate you having me on, and hearing you say that. I mean, it makes you really proud of those young men, those boys when they were with us. Now they're young men, and what they've been able to accomplish, and watching them over these last 5-6 years has been a lot of fun. And they're fixing to start a new journey of life as they pursue their dreams, and it takes courage to chase your dreams, and those 3 and so many more that were a part of the program are doing that right now. So, as I sit here right now, I'm doing really good, and I'm really proud, of what those boys are accomplishing.
Wow, yeah. Well, Coach, your staff, quite a few of them have, some of them have been with you since day one over at Ash. How has that stable leadership structure allowed you guys to build this consistent winning teams over at Ashman?
Yeah, it's a huge part. Continuity. The kids are used to the same faces. I mean, Coach Free, Coach Skip, myself. We've been together since the very beginning. Coach OJ, Coach Mercer, a lot of guys that have been there for 8, 9, 10 seasons now. We just had a lot of continuity, and so the kids. As you and I were talking a little bit off air, our kids don't know another way of life. I mean, they know that they got to be weighed in by 7:13 every single morning, and that it's on. We're fixing to go to work, and the faces, who's in front of them, the information that's being presented, the ability to forge relationships and build some credibility over time. With the past players that you've coached, being able to pour into the next generation, and so many of them come back through, and they see those faces, and they're comfortable coming back around. Not just the fact that I'm there, but there's so many of their position coach, their coordinators, just so many people are still there. We've been very fortunate that we've had continuity here this past decade in a lot of the key areas, of our athletic department and our football program.
Wow. You have established a brand of football focused on toughness, togetherness. How do you get teenagers to buy into that extreme effort standard year after year after year?
Well, I think kids crave discipline, and I mean, it's how do you build trust? Hopefully you're competent in what you do. You're consistent in what you do. And then we try and connect with the kids, get to know them beyond just the playing field. When you have that deep connection, and they understand that you care about them and you're concerned about them, and you're holding them to high standards, not letting them get away with what's less than their best, is because you care about them. I mean, kids want to meet you. They want to please you. We've been fortunate that we've had a bunch of competitive kids, a bunch of competitive families that have come through the program. And so, there's a striving and to meet the goal and exceed the goal. And you just never, it's an everyday process. There's good days and bad days. And, most days are not smooth. You're dealing with human beings. I'm an imperfect person. They're imperfect people, but together, you're working through it. And, I am very proud of how hard our kids play for us and the amount of work that they put in. I don't think many people really understand what goes on, over the course of a calendar year getting ready for a football season, and then what goes on during football season. You show up on a Friday night and, the lights are on and you see, we're about to play, but the amount of preparation that has gone into it is just a whole lot. And I think that's traits of success. I mean, you could probably say the same. A lot of people just, see you come on, but, and what you're doing with all the things that you're part of, but the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes. And,
right.
Our kids have just bought into that.
Piggybacking off of that question, when people see the wins, they often miss that daily development, that work that's going on. What are you most intentional about teaching the players off the field that transfer to success in life?
Well, we want to take a holistic approach. I mean, we're coaching the whole person, person and player. I think the better person you have, usually the better player that you have. Mm-hmm. And, I think it's discipline, discipline, doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, how you're supposed to do it, regardless of external circumstance. That's Coach Saban's, discipline, definition of discipline. And we preach that a lot, regardless of how you're feeling today, there's a standard that you have to operate at, do your work, and then, I thought that was a really good, I quote a lot of Coach Saban stuff with you. We talk about toughness, and people, mm-hmm. How do you define what toughness is? And he gives an example of he's putting windows in his beach house. And how do you know that, these windows are better than those windows? And he tells a story about, it simply comes down to, when stuff's coming up against them, what does it take to break them? So how tough are you mentally? How tough are you physically? What did it take to break you? Was it coach getting on you too hard and you broke down mentally, or the environment of, football? It's either really hot or it's really cold come playoff time. So you're in the elements. Did anything, the outside things, and the more you can withstand, the more mentally and physically tough you are. And, so we talk about that. And I think that carries over into life. Football's coming to an end for every single one of them. While we're like beyond words, I can't describe how proud I am of Jacobian and Trey and Bud. But football's coming to an end for all of them at some point. And we don't have a program that's just exists to get kids to play college football. I hope the things that they're, experiencing and learning and going through while they're a part of the program are going to serve them when they get into their life one day, their professions, their families, all those things. And fortunate to have been here, man. There's a lot of kids that played for us that are coming back to games, and you get to see their life and their families and, their kids. And that's the most rewarding thing about this profession.
And what's really interesting is the idea you see Jacobian down at LSU, Bud over at TCU, and then Trey UL to Henderson, and not only good football careers, but academically they are actually prepared mentally and what have you to succeed in the academic programs.
That's right. Yeah, I want them to go play college football. I tell them all the time. Most of them I want them to go play because they're, if to stay eligible, you have to be on track to get a degree, and getting a degree is going to open so many doors for them.
Right.
So football is going to use football for the things that you want. Use this game, use this sport, and with with NIL, a lot of these kids are that are going on to play Power 4 football, Group of 5 football. They're making money now, and there's no game without the players. The players should be compensated. It's their there's no game without the players.
Right. After an undefeated regular season, Coach, the expectations are, they skyrocket all up. How do you keep the players grounded and hungry when everyone is telling them how great they are? How do
You got to process and I mean, we've just got our routines and our structures, and you go back to work, and they know the expectations, and you try and be transparent, you try and be honest, you try and over communicate the things that you need to communicate. Obviously that year was a very special year. And I believe there's championship potential right here in Central Louisiana. And,
oh yeah.
We have another step on the ladder that we're trying to take. I'm proud of the competition that we've played regular season. I think our district's one of the best. Our playoff bracket, most would argue that it's the most competitive playoff bracket in our state. And, so there's always work to be done. You can't rest on what you did yesterday, or, you just get humbled real quick in this game. We certainly experienced it a couple of times in a couple of ball games last year. And, such is life. Life doesn't wait on the wounded. Get up and move forward.
All right. That sounds like that quote that Trey said. Alexandria is a community coach with
absolutely
with unique hurdles. How do you use the game of football to motivate these young men to believe they can reach the NFL when the odds feel stacked up against them?
Well, I mean, we've had a lot of guys from, Alexandria that have made it,
right.
So guys that walk the same halls and, experience the same struggles that you're experiencing, have gone about doing their, working and making it out. And so there's examples to point to, what I would say. And if they can do it, you can too. Now, so much of college and professional football has to do with measurables, height, weight, speed. Some of it's God-given. Obviously, everybody is trying to develop their talents, and we want them all, regardless of what their ceiling is. We want to try and get them to bump their ceiling as much as they can. But there's just guys that have done it. From really a lot of these Central Louisiana schools. I know that we have several. From Ash, I know Richard from Pinedale. You got Richard from Peabody, Cody Ford from Pinedale, and I know there's so many more.
Right.
Now, but those are just. I mean, the kids are very aware of who those guys are, so the ability to point to, that it's been done. So just go about handling your business, control what you can control today, have a plan for the future, but you got to make the most of today.
I hear you. You're more than a coach to a lot of these young men. How do you balance being demanding while still being someone they trust when life hits hard?
It takes time. Some of them I've done a better job with than others. I think that's where the staff comes into, where it's, the thing that we have that's so unique that I love working. These guys that I get the privilege of showing up and working with are really in it for the right reasons. They're about the development of the young person and how it's going to serve them in life. And, there's just, it's not one guy. It's not me, I mean, it's impossible, or it's hard to develop close relationships with all, 120, 140, depending on what the numbers are, and so different coaches get closer with different groups of kids, but the messaging, hey, we care about you, we're concerned about you, we're going to try and earn your trust over time. So many times hey, trust me, and thing we've always asked, just give us time to earn your trust, and that's what we try to do over time. And I think that the kids appreciate it when you tell them the truth, or when you let them know that they've missed the mark. And just because they miss the mark, we're not going to throw them away. There's obviously, consequences for actions, but when you make a mistake, hey, we're going to walk through it with you. I remember my dad, talking to me about that, boy, I don't know what's coming, sometimes when you go through things, I'm going to walk through it with you. And that's what we've told them, is that, we're going to walk through some of these times with you. And sometimes those are hard times that you walk through, but, it doesn't mean that you always have to, throw them away or turn your back on them. And you spend a lot of time together. So it gives you an opportunity to forge a lot of relationships. I mean, this is a 12-month You know, I don't know how many days. I mean, our kids will get a week off at the end of May. They'll get a week off in July. But other than that, I mean, there is no stopping point. I mean, it's just you spend a lot of time, and the more time you spend together, the deeper relationships you forge through hardships, through difficulties. You know, that bond begins to form of, hey, we've been in a tight spot together before. You know, we've had our back against the wall. People are doubting it, whatever the circumstances are. And it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's us. And nothing better than being a part of a team.
Right, I hear you. Jacobian, LSU, but TCU, and Trey Henderson via UL. All, you know, we talked about it a little bit. They all are declaring for that draft this year. That's rare, Coach, and it's even rarer for a public high school, to have 3 of them declare in 1 year from a program. What was it about that 2020? Was it COVID, or what was it about that allowed them?
So you got 2 classes there, you know, as far as football season goes. Bud and Jacobin finished in 2019. You know, that was the 2019 group. And then Trey finished a year later. Trey was on that runner-up team in 2020. So, you know, Bud and Jacobin got that extra year because 2020 didn't count against any of the college athletes because of COVID and all that stuff. So you've got 2 different classes, you know, with the 3 kids that are coming out. But it's special. You know, we've been fortunate. And our kids have worked their tail off. We played for 2 championships here within, you know, in 2020 and 2024. I would make an argument that the best team we've ever had is the 2019 group. You know, we got upset in a playoff game down in Mandeville, and you know, one that still haunts me to this day because that was such a special group. We were really good on defense. You know, Bud back there at safety, Jacobian. I mean, that was a great group of kids. And, you know, it's sometimes you play those games, and if we could have got through that one, you know, I wouldn't have been as surprised to see that one playing for a championship. And so, you know, that group right there, Bud, Jacobian, you know, Trey the next year, but that they helped. Like, we grew up with them. You know, that was some of my one of my first classes was Bud and Jacobian coming in, and, you know, they're kind of some of the guys that we built the foundation around. And I'm so appreciative. Everybody recognizes the talent, but, you know, the day in and day out work ethic that they displayed while they were teenagers for us helped us kind of set the tone for, you know, the program we wanted to be, the trajectory that we were trying to get on. Just when your best players, your most talented kids, your most visible kids are the ones that are showing up, rolling their sleeves up, and really, really working hard, man, it bleeds into the rest of the locker room. And those 2 are, you know, they're the foundation of it. You know, there's so many more that I could name, but you know, as we talk about these guys, and then, you know, Trey, you know, on that 2020 team was spectacular. The run that group, you know, made there to the championship, where we came up a point short against Acadiana, was, you know, I get to reliving it all as I sit here.
It's interesting to watch you. It's like we went back into time.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it in my mind's eye when they were young, and of course, you know, they've gone on to do such great things. Very, very proud of them. You know, I always tell them I'm not going. You know, so many people pull at these kids or these young men now, right? They're having success and make a play, and these cell phones, everybody. You know, I've always told them, guys, I'm watching, I'm here if you need, but, you know, I don't want to be another person that's pulling at them. You know, I think too many people in our profession, or too many people want to make the big moments about them. And I just have been always very cautious of, you know, because then they feel obligated, man. I got a 85 text message or 285 text messages on their phone, and you can't return them all. You know what I'm saying? It just it can become very overwhelming. And I'm not, you know, social media goes crazy, but, you know, I'm very proud of those guys, very appreciative of what they've done, and can't wait to watch them in this next journey. I mean, I think the best is in front of all of them.
Yeah. What does it say about your program, Coach, when success continues after the players leave? Not just while they're there, but it keeps going. Not only the academics and the sports stuff.
We talk about that a lot as a staff. You know, I'm very proud of the success that our players that have played for us and had been fortunate to go on and play at the next level. I'm proud of the success that all of them have had. You know, a lot of them. We have an opportunity, or the thing that I think we have a responsibility to do is, one, play on stages that let them showcase their talent while they're right here. You got to play on some big stages. You got to challenge yourself. You got to get in the right environments, you know, for these kids to put their talent on display against some of the best competition, right? That helps kids in recruiting, that you can do it in the big moments, right? That you can test yourself. And then, you know, I think we have a tremendous responsibility to prepare the kids for what they're going to face when they get there. And you know, as we talked about kind of in the opening of, you know, it's on tomorrow morning. This group that we got at 7:13, they're going to get weighed in, and the intensity level is fixing to go through the roof, and people are going to be demanding something out of them. They're going to be demanding something out of each other when we get into these workouts, and it's going to be an intense, you know, hour of work, and it's going to be every day, week after week, month after month, you know, and then year after year, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And so when these kids get into this college environment where it is fast paced, it is, you know, very demanding, it is very challenging, while they have to adjust to the unbelievable talent that has been assembled in these college programs. I don't know that we can prepare them for, you know, what they're going to have to compete against, because everybody was the best player, and you know, they're all elite talents. As far as the day in and day out accountability of work, you know, that somebody's demanding something out of you. I do think that we've worked really hard to try and prepare our kids so when they get in that environment, they're not overwhelmed, that it's every day you've got to perform at a high level. And, you know, I would like to believe that we've done that, and that's helped our kids, helped our players, you know, transition, because the learning curve is so steep in so many areas with the depth of football, you know, as we talked about, the level of talent everywhere, that if you're having to learn how to work, if you're learning to have to really, all your life, you've been able to get away with just being talented, and you've never had to develop those talents, then that can be really overwhelming for a college freshman. So if we can help establish that day in and day out work ethic, and that something's going to be demanded of you, and it's continuous, and what you did yesterday, hey, we're appreciative of that, and we're glad but that led to the day, and it's on again today. And, you know, I would believe that our players would say, you know, JT been in the office this week, and, you know, that was one of the, you know, feels prepared for what's coming. You know, with the day in and day out, right, intensity level of training.
Yeah. Wow. When your coaching career is eventually done here, what do you want the people of Alexandria to say about Coach Bachman era?
That I cared, that I gave him everything that I had. You know, I mean, this is every day. You know, this is very fortunate that my wife and, you know, my family, like, this is coaching's a calling, you know, and if your family's not all in on this, then I don't think there's only so much success that you have an opportunity, because it's hard. Not every day is smooth. Like, this is a great conversation, but we're dealing with so many, you know, people day in and day out that, you know, there's a lot of challenging moments, but, you know, that we tried to do right by the kids. You know, it was a tough love. We worked extremely hard, and that we gave them something that they could be proud of. You know, when the game of football is mentioned, I want the people of Central Louisiana to have a point of pride of, no, we got a group of boys that can play football too. Win, lose, or draw, we're going to seek out good competition, and our kids are going to compete their tails off. And, you know, I think we're on that track. Just still a lot of work to do.
I hear you. That gets to the fun part. You know, Trey, I reached out to him and I said, hey, give me some quotes, something you want to say about Coach Bachman. Trey said when he transferred from Tioga High over to Ash, he said Coach Bachman said we get it out the mud over here, meaning, and then he put the meaning behind it. You have to go get what you want. That's what Trey said. You remember them all?
I go get what you want, I mean, that's a conversation I've had with several of these young players. If you want us to play you, you might be disappointed. You better make us play you. You know what I'm saying? You got to earn it. And that's, there's only so many we can put out there. So, if you're wanting us to play you, you might be disappointed. There's competition, and you're gonna have to make us play you. Okay. And Trey jumped right in and went to work from day one. So it was easier for him.
All right. And he said it was really interesting because he had to set out a whole year as well.
Yep. I remember that. Boy, I would have liked to have had him that year. Because that 2019 team I talked about, he'd have been a very important piece for that group.
Yeah, right. Okay. And Bud said, I can say I never heard Coach curse, and he just texted. I assume he's watching us right now, so he texted me as well. He said I can say I never heard Coach curse at the kids, but when he said doggone it, man, you knew it was real at that point in time.
Yeah. There's some of the kids that can really impersonate me really, really good. I hear stories of them, my mannerisms and my sayings is like, man, I hope I don't sound like that. Yeah, but I'm a dadgummit, dang it, all that. I can say it with the best of them. So,
I tell you,
it's on when, you don't have to curse the kids to get them to play hard. And I think the kids would tell you, I can chew them up and get after them as well as anybody. But cursing's not something that I want to do. Bud's fortunate, to say that I have not, had moments of, you know what I'm saying? Like there's plenty of kids who, I heard him say this, or I heard him. They would be like, yeah, you did. You caught me. And some of my moments where you're reaching out, trying to grab the words and like, golly, I regret that instantly. But no, that's just not something that we do a whole lot of. Not something, this is not professional. This is not collegiate. These are high school kids. And it's just, I've been fortunate that the people that I played for, that was not a thing. And, they're the ones that, laid the foundation in teaching me how to go about things. And so it was just not something that I was really exposed to.
Right.
And those people coached really hard and could chew you out. Sometimes you might have been rather be cussed out than chewed out the way they could cuss you out. But that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, that is. Bud also text just a few seconds ago. He said, tell your mind to tell your body to shut up and go to work. But
you better believe it. You better, yes. And he did that as well as anybody. I can sit here and think of so many stories. The kids would, Coach Dylan Hamilton's back coaching with us, and he played with that. And Dylan Dozart played for us, and he spent 4 years at McNeese, and now he's back coaching with us. And Coach Alvarado played for us, and he's back coaching with us. And so, yeah, they've got plenty of stories of the way the things that I've said, or, Ham was telling a story about me walking in the weight room one day and something about, all right, now everybody stop and watch Bud, so they used to give me a hard time because Bud was the example guy, like, all right, you want to know how to do this, watch Bud. And I referenced Bud a lot and probably still do.
and Jacobian said, spot on ball, spot a ball.
Spot a ball. Yep. That, I wish I could really take credit for that. That's Coach Free, that's that competitive, spirit that all these coaches have, whoever it is. We've had our tails whipped, right? We've certainly passed out a few whippings through the years too. We've been on both ends of it, but at the end of the day, whoever it is, put a ball down, let's go find out, right? Let's compete, win, lose, or draw. Let's really find out what we're made of. and that's it. Spot a ball. Let's find out. You say this, I say that. Everybody likes to talk about, well, if these two teams played, this would happen. And well, how about we just put a ball down and find out rather than argue about it and so that's, kind of, we say that often and in practice sometimes too. All right, here we go. Y'all want to chirp at each other, put a ball down, let's find out.
I hear you. Coach, if you had to say something to a young lady who wanted to compete in sports across the board or anything, what would you say to that 10th grader? I mean, that 10-year-old, that 8-year-old that's just getting ready to get kicked off into the early football leagues and different things of that nature. What would you say to them? Go
for it. Nothing better than being a part of a team. You learn so much from being, just a member of the team. Next Thursday morning, rather than run and lift, we've got a presentation. We'll sit them down in the weight room, and we've got a little PowerPoint and some examples. And, we'll begin to, we talk about leadership all the time. Okay, well, what does leadership look like? How does it act? How does it conduct? Why do you lead? We're just begin to present that to our kids. Let's really define leadership and, all of that stuff. And I think, ultimately you lead because you care about somebody and you're concerned about their future. So care and concern really begins to matter. You don't, your title doesn't give you, your position of power is not what makes you a leader. It's your personal competence. It's the connection that you have. People don't follow titles for very long. They follow people. And so you learn all those things from being a part of a team. I think that there's sometimes I'm the head coach, I'm the leader, but I'm not always the one leading the program. There are times where Coach Free is extremely competent, or he's got a great point. And so I step back a little bit and, I get to, all right, Coach Free's got this, and I'm going to follow his lead. So you also get to learn what good leadership is. And, hey, I need to step up and lead in this situation. And, hey, I need to follow good leadership. I just think you learn so many things. I mean, we could take the whole show talking about the value of being a part of a team and totally committing yourself to something that's bigger than you. I mean, that's my favorite thing. Every group I get to stand in front of, man, it's not about me. It's not about them. It's about us, what we can accomplish together, the goals. Hey, I'm going to sacrifice some things. You're going to sacrifice some things, and we're going to come together for a common goal and see what we can accomplish. There's days where you're going to have to be there for me and pick me up when I'm having a bad day, and vice versa. Hey, man, I want to pick you up when you're having a bad day. And just the camaraderie of team is, and it's not just sports teams. I mean, it's, I love extracurricular. I'm passionate about football. I love football, but I'm every bit as passionate. I'm very appreciative of the band director that we have right now, because he's trying hard. And so the kids that are interested in whatever it is they're interested in, man, you learn so much from being a part of that. And so find something to be involved with is what I would tell a young person. Now, I'm fine with it being football. More kids that are coming through, and but find something to be a part of, because there's nothing like it. It's going to be hard days, though. It's going to be hard days when you're part of a team and you're dealing with humans. Nobody's perfect, so you're working through things together.
Wow. Well, Coach, I'll tell you, if you have anything you'd like to say to the community, you can more than welcome.
I'm just very appreciative. Been very, I've been here. This will be year 12 next year. I got here in 2015, and I can still remember that first group. And I know in our time here, we've come a long way, and I'm just very appreciative of this community. I am. I love being a part of it. When I travel around, Alexandria is home. I'm from, I guess, all over. I was born in Shreveport. I've lived in South Louisiana. I've lived in Texas, but I'm from Alexandria. Alexandria is home for me, and all that been a lot. I'm just very appreciative of what's been done for me, what's been done for our program, the support that we get, the relationships that have been forged over the last 11 years, so I've tried to, I don't know that you can ever say thank you enough. And that's really thank you. And we're going to work really hard. We want to give you a program that you can be proud of, because this community, Central Louisiana, deserves a first-class program, and we're working hard to provide that. And the work's never done. So we'll wake up tomorrow morning and we'll do some more.
I hear you. Coach Bachman, I definitely want to say thank you for your time and for your the standards that you've set for the youth here in Alexandria. And I had the opportunity to actually, I would say all of the youth, because I remember when we were touring the school doing the District 62 stuff,
Yep.
and all of the kids' stuff was just sitting right out in the open. And I was like, boy, look at the level of integrity right here.
And we have great kids.
Do.
And if somebody could come on an afternoon, I was laughing about it today. Like, goodness gracious, look at all this. Track teams got kids running around. We've got the football boys in the weight room. The powerlifting kids are there. The soccer teams. Just the amount of participation is great. And it's a lot of stuff sitting around sometimes, right?
Yes.
But, we're in the process of taking care of all that, building some of these facilities, and I hope another 10 or 12 years from now, there's even more things built, and done. And, that's the great thing about, progress is you're never done making progress. There's always the next challenge. There's always the next project that you're taking on. And I hope I hope we don't sit stagnant and feel like, we built those facilities, we're done. There's still other things that we've got to do, across Rapides Parish, and certainly at Alexandria Senior High. I know that there's a lot of needs out there, but let's just keep picking them one at a time and keep knocking these things out. And, then you look up over the course of time, it's like, man, you can be really proud of some of the things that that we've done. And so we're just beginning.
Yeah, I hear you. A huge thank you to our followers and supporters who are out there, particularly one of Ash's big time supporters, Sadler's Towing.
The Sadlers are, they're awesome. Very, very supportive. They're awesome.
Lungs Product, Legendary Kung Fu and Tai Chi, United Wrestling and Entertainment, Rapides Parish Fair, Nader International Market, and Threadhead Embroidery. To everyone out there, y'all stay tuned for one of our upcoming shows that we're going to have. We're going to be talking to Trey Michael, aka Trigger, who was a young man who survived the 9-year-old who survived, being shot in the abdomen in the area. We're going to be speaking to he and his mom and aunt on next Monday. So y'all make sure you chime in and watch that show. Again, Coach, thanks again.
Absolutely. I'm honored, man. I appreciate it.
And look, at any time you need to get any information out there, Coach,
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you, Jack, very much. Appreciate what you do for our community. So
yeah, greatly appreciate that, Coach. If hang tight, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.